education and skill development is one of the key drivers and enablers for our economic growth. In order to ensure that the education and skill development finds the proper perspective in the economy, we have to ensure that adequate training facilities are given to our people, and for that in terms of going for in the manufacture or in the service sector, for which we have to ensure that adequate budgetary support is available. The current outlay of around 3% of GDP is quite low, and we should target around 5 to 6% in terms with other countries. In terms of policy, we have to ensure that the certain reforms that are taking place in the education sector and the skill development sector continue. The institutional reforms and governance reforms as envisaged through schemes like the Sarva Shiksha Abhijan, the Rashtriya Madhyamik Shiksha Abhijan, the Uchchatar Shiksha Abhijan are continued, and investments are also made in the facilities to attract and retain students in terms of proper classrooms, playgrounds, laboratories, and also especially for the government-run institution in the rural areas. Investments are also required in providing proper drinking water supply as well as toilets for the students. Also, in order to ensure that we reduce the number of out-of-school children, we should continue with schemes like the midday meal scheme, which not only ensures the attendance and the continuity of the education of children, especially in the rural areas and from economically weaker sections of society, but it also addresses the health and nutrition needs. We should also look at the aspects of training the teachers as well as the faculty so that they can adopt modern teaching concepts, which ensures that the learning outcomes are achieved, and also the students become employable and relevant to industry. In terms of skill development, we should also ensure adequate investments in the areas of tool rooms, laboratories, workshops, so that the trainees who are coming out of those institutes are job ready and acceptable to industry. With a national manufacturing policy envisaging around manufacturing to contribute around 25% of our GDP and generate an additional 100 million jobs going forward, we should also ensure that the skill development finds a proper place in the budget in terms of the investment required. In these schemes, like private sector participation in terms of concessional finances coming from schemes like the National Skill Development Corporation should be looked into. The affordability of courses, where schemes like the STAR scheme, which was introduced a couple of budgets back, should be continued, whereby sum of up to 10,000 rupees per training course is reimbursed to a student who successfully completes a skilling program. We should also look at involving the industry in the preparation and development of the course curriculum that is imparted through these institutions, and for that there is already the scheme of sector skill councils, which has the initial setup is given by government agencies like NSDC, and also involves the active participation of industry through the industry association in course curriculum development, accreditation, certification, etc. Now, coming to the issue of taxation, we should look at relaxation of external commercial borrowings from the education sector in terms of either exemption of tax on interest or a reduced rate of tax at say 5% as given to other industry players. For corporates making investments or making a contribution in the education sector, we could look at a weight deduction as it's prevalent in the R&D expenses for the corporates, whereby 125 to 200% of the expenses on R&D is given is taken as during the tax computation for a company. Also, clarity is required on the taxability of expenses on CSR activities, given that education and skill development is one of the key activities that can be taken up as a CSR under the New Companies Act. We should also look at specific tax incentives in terms of what is given to core infrastructure developers who are developed in terms of tax holidays, which can be extended to developers of education facilities, which or institutions which are given on long lease to the education sector for creating of world-class facilities. We need also clarity on the aspect of service taxes on services relating to education. So this is in a nutshell what our wish list is for this budget, and to summarize, all that we expect is to ensure that education is made accessible, equitable, affordable, and quality is maintained.